Boxing King Media in association with Boxro. Shane Watson, part of Team Joyce. Other than causing arguments on Twitter with Billy Nelson and God knows who else, let's talk about this fight. We'll come on to Twitter in a bit. How confident are you guys that Joyce is going to make that statement that you guys have been talking about for a long time this Saturday?
Absolutely confident. He's at the most unbelievable training camp this time out. Like if you compare the training camp to the Hammer camp, it's like two completely different people. He's been dropping sparring partners left, right, and centre. He's been hurting people left, right, and centre. And do you know what? Joe doesn't even go 100% in sparring because Abel Sanchez taught him a thing some time back when he used to train up in Big Bear, that you don't break your toys. So he's hitting these guys with 40 and 50% shots, and he's still putting them over and breaking ribs and things like that. So when it comes to fighting out with those small gloves on, and when he's hitting Parker 100%, expect to see Parker get stopped for the first time.
It's interesting because neither guy's been stopped, obviously Parker's been dropped a few times in fights before, but he's always found a way to get back up and win rounds. Why is Joyce going to be the first guy to stop him?
Because Parker's a very tough man, so that's why he doesn't really get stopped. But the style to stop someone who's tough like Parker is to have an engine. The thing is, when Parker was hurt, people like White didn't have the engine to get him out of there. You can throw like 10 or 12 shots, but you're not really going to get Parker out of that. You need to overwhelm him. And with the Chisora one, I think it's a bit different. He just dropped him in the first few seconds of the fight. It's a bit of a flash knockdown. And I think Chisora's really got the KO power to take out someone like Parker, and even more so, he hasn't got the engine, like I said, when you've hurt someone to finish them off. So especially at that level is what I'm talking about more so than anything. But Joe has got that. He showed he's got a great engine. If he's got you hurt, you're in a very dangerous place because he isn't going to stop until he's got you out of there. And he's shown that in the past. I mean, when he had Takam hurt, what was it, 43 unanswered punches? No heavyweight can throw them kind of shots to get someone out of there because they haven't got the engine to do it. And Joe was still feeling very fresh after that. So it'd be a nightmare for Parker if he gets hurt, especially if he gets hurt early.
I always read the tweets, and the general consensus on this fight is that Parker will win a lot of the early rounds and then Joyce comes into it mid to late. Is that how you see the fight going, or do you think it's the other way around?
I don't think Parker's particularly a fast starter either. So I'd be surprised if he was right up at 6 rounds maybe. But I mean, maybe he's slightly ahead, I'm not sure, but I expect Joe to start quite fast as well. We've been starting fast and sparring the whole camp. So the only time that Joe didn't really start fast, like looking back, was probably against Takam. And now people think that's the way he boxes every time. I can't think of another fight where he didn't start that fast. So I expect him to still start quite fast. I think Takam was he didn't have Salas in his corner for that fight, didn't have a training camp with him. He's not the same fighter without Salas around, in my opinion. So I think there was just a lot of, and I think he overlooked Takam as well. So there's a lot of those kind of things that played a factor in that. But we've got Joe Choice 2.0 now, so I expect him to start fast, and I expect him to win early rounds as well. But I do expect us to get him out of there mid to late. Like I said, Parker is a very tough man, and he's a fighting man as well, and he's fought some big punches as well. So I don't expect it to be an early job. I expect it to go quite late.
David Ings, I spoke to him a bit ago, and he said that Joyce is his hardest fight other than AJ. Would you agree with that?
I think it's still a harder fight for him than AJ. I think stylistically it is. AJ boxed him to victory there, and he had a terrible referee that didn't give Parker any chance really to win that fight. And even then, Parker hurt him a few times actually with an uppercut. But I think stylistically it's a tougher fight. What are the key things that Parker struggles with? An engine, because he hasn't got a great one himself. He starts to tire after 4 rounds and he goes missing for 5 or 6. And then and someone who's tough, really tough. So are 2 things that Parker absolutely struggles with. So it'd be interesting to see how it plays out. But I think it is his toughest test, because AJ was tough in the sense of you had a poor referee. It was his biggest occasion at the time and stuff like that. But I think AJ just boxed a safe fight to victory, and he still got hurt a couple of times in there right now. But I still think this is his toughest test. Yeah.
I just want to get your opinion on the whole situation with Jake Paul. Just like change the subject. I don't know if you saw comments Jake Paul made yesterday about Eddie Hearn and the refereeing with Glenn Feldman, and I think he said that he felt Eddie Hearn had him in his pocket and was paying him to fly him around and make his guys win. Do you see them comments?
Yeah, I think it's a bit unnecessary. It puts the sport in a lot of bad light. I'm very sure that Eddie Hearn and Match aren't paying off judges, because do you know what? You know when like you speak to people outside of boxing, don't really understand how the sport works, like fans and friends and family and that, they think that stuff like this goes on all the time. Do you know how hard it would be to do something like that, and like how dangerous something like that would be? Like, I think sometimes you just get judges that favour home fighters. I think that's just a problem with any like almost every show. I don't think Eddie Hearn is doing secret bank transfers to Glenn Feldman. No, not at all. Listen, there've been plenty of decisions that have gone against him on home shows and that as well, and so I don't think it's got anything to do with that. I think, and he still lost a fight. I mean, if he was going to pay one judge, surely he'd pay all three of them, wouldn't he? So it wouldn't make much sense just to pay one. So no, I don't think he's paying it. I mean, and Katie Taylor quite fairly won that fight, so I don't think that's a problem. I think that's why Jake's saying it's more about Katie Taylor rather than AJ. So, because obviously he promotes Amanda Serrano, but no, I think it's just ridiculous. And you got to watch what you say, man. I'm sure a lawsuit might be coming his way for saying something like that, and it's just not a good look for the sport. We're trying to grow the sport, not put it down. I don't think that's going to make many people want to watch it. So,
thank you for your opinion on that. And I just want to quickly ask you about Billy Nelson's comments with you. Obviously, he's wandering off. I think he's suggesting that Bakoli's a better fight for Joyce. What's your, you and Billy have a lot back and forward online. Is Bakoli a harder fight than what he's having this Saturday?
Do you know what, Billy Nelson, I'll sum that man up. That man is a bully online, yeah. All he wants to do is talk shit because he ain't got anything else to do in his life. He's lost a bit of weight and now he thinks he can pipe up. With him, all he is, it's just, yeah, he's the bully, man. Like, look at what he did to other fighters like Lewis Ritson and people like that. He's just so shit. Billy Nelson needs to focus on himself. Bakoli to win over Yoko is not better than anything Joe's done in his whole career. That's the reason why no one talks about Martin Bakoli, because no one knows who he is. No one knows who Billy Nelson is. So, without being disrespectful, listen, Bakoli's a great fighter, by the way, and I really rate him. And Joe really rates him as well. Joe, they had a good spar, but in that spar, he stopped sparring early. I'm not going to lie. I've not said anything about it for the whole time because I want to be respectful to Bakoli, but Bakoli got out of the ring early because he couldn't handle the pace, couldn't handle the pressure. And Bakoli was great up until then, by the way, but it just talks a load of shit. It talks a load of shit. But one thing I will say that I got told by quite good sources, not by Billy Nelson, obviously, because he wouldn't tell me any information, but that Bakoli hurt and potentially drops Parker in sparring. That's why they only used him for a couple of spars up until the end of this camp, so that's quite interesting. So I hope maybe that is true, but Bakoli does punch very hard, so it wouldn't surprise me, and he's quite ruthless. So, but yeah, my thoughts towards Billy Nelson, I don't really have any. I think he's just an idiot, but I guess he's doing his thing with Bakoli. I hope they get a shot because Bakoli's a good fighter and he's a nice guy, man. But yeah, I haven't really got any thoughts towards him because anyone who thinks Bakoli's above Joyce and what he's achieved and what he's done is ludicrous. He got beaten by a cruiserweight that Bakoli kept him in there with. No, that Billy Nelson kept him in there with. He wanted to get out. If I wanted to get out, he shouldn't keep him in there. It's a dangerous place, and he kept him in there. So that says everything you need to know about the man, really.
Thank you for your opinion on Billy Nelson. Last question, we spoke about it a few months ago. The fight is 2 days away. Hannah Rankin, Terry Harper. Yeah. You picked Hannah Rankin to win. Are you sticking by that?
Yeah, do you know what? I don't know how their training camps have gone. Actually, no, I do know how Terry Harper's training camp have gone. I actually want Terry Harper to win, put it out there, by the way, because I really like her. She's got the same strength and conditioning coaches, Joe, Lerone and Florian, so it's like a little bit part of the team. They all really like her as well. And I love the boxing science guys, they're great people. And Steffi Ball seems like a nice guy. I don't think I've really met him before, but Terry Harper seems lovely. So
yeah, the FaceTime.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he's a good guy. He's a good laugh, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I just think, and that's what I said at the time, like that I haven't seen the adjustments needed from Alicia Bumnagardner, whether that's injuries, whether maybe they just didn't show it in that one fight, because I think they've only had one fight since then, haven't they? So maybe they just haven't shown it. Maybe that was she needed a bit of a confidence boost before she could show it. But I hope she does win because she's a great person, a great ambassador for women's boxing, and she's a very good fighter, and she's got some big fights in her if she can get the win. But then again, Hannah Rankin's done it the hard way, so fair play to her. She's going in there, much bigger lady, much stronger lady, lets her hands go. We saw Harper get caught a lot in her last fight. It was interesting, and Hannah Rankin looks like she's improved a lot as well. She was really good in her last fight against Ayala, who's thankfully okay. And yes, it's a good fight, but I would slightly edge Hannah Rankin, but I want to be wrong. I would like Terry Harper to win there.
Shane, thank you. Unless you've got anything else to add, I think we've covered everything.
Yeah, bang on. Nice one.
Cheers.